Welcome to our live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BP TV studios. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. I got Chip Hainer with me. Unfortunately, Smokin' Jim is going to miss his second show. The city championship football games are on tonight. So, just got to mention that. I'd first like to mention stay stronger than hate with the bad crimes that happened this past Saturday. And I just wanted to move on from that. It's very sad in our area, 11 dead. And we're overcoming that with love and trying to understand each other and move past this. So Pittsburgh will stay strong, guaranteed about that. We got a sports talk show for you. We're ready to do that. You can watch us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park, Verizon 32 in Bethel Park, and all the way from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between. Thanks for watching us, and thanks for liking our page. We got 6,778 likes. Thanks for watching our shows and liking our page. We appreciate that. We also have some sponsors that I'd like to bring up. First, Olive Oil's Pizzeria right here at Hillcrest, 412-831-1900. They sponsor our show with a pizza and a hoagie. Thanks to Frank Fanera for doing that. We appreciate you. Next, I have the Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, right there on South Park Road and Park Avenue up there. Great facility run by Bill Havether. They got a lot of great things going on there, and they got Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus coming up. Stay tuned for that. They have a business Saturday coming up in November, so check out their activities and support what they do there. They're a 501c3. You can donate whatever you want to there, and it's tax deductible, so check that out. We end each show with Stay Joey Strong. Just check Zach if we're recording everything. We got Stay Joey Strong, the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. It's a 501c3. Poor Joey died before his 9th birthday with the dreaded cancer, DIPG. And we honor him all the time with that, with different events and things that he's done in the neighborhood, different groups that they have. You can check it out at Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Check it out. Dave Cable likes to have some fun at my expense. Uncle Al wants you. Al Levine, the talking machine, wants you for BP TV. Give us a call, 412-831-3304. Tell them Uncle Al sent you. Call Dave Cable, 412-831-3304. You can be a volunteer here and run the studio, cameras, sound system, and everything else. Makes us look good like we are. Next, I have another group, Bethel Park Community Foundation. They have money for you, $100 to $5,000 for your group and whatever activities you're trying to promote in Bethel Park for the good of the community. You get $100 to $5,000. Get an app from bpcf.org. Check that out and apply for your money there. I'm also a trustee on the board. Love to see you come up and present what your group's doing in Bethel Park. Check that out. Next, we got a sponsor of our show, What's on Your Mind? Sponsored by Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station, right past Trax Farm in Mineral Beach on Route 88 in Finleyville. You can't miss it. He's an honest guy, works on cars, anything and everything that runs on gas. And I don't know if I can tell Zach, but we're on TV, they're saying there's no picture, only voice. So I don't know if you can adjust that since you hear our voice. I see a picture now.
It's good now.
We're good. Thanks, Zach. That's Zach Taylor, our newest Rookie of the Year, according to Smokin' Jim Frazier. All right, we're going to start our show with What's on Your Mind? Chip Hainer. What do you got?
What's on my mind? Sometimes, in the grander scheme of things, that I take certain pleasures in certain things. You know, like I will never ever watch a Cowboys loss and not enjoy it. You know.
I understand that.
By the same token, even though for the last 20 years they really haven't been a rivalry team of ours, I recall all the games in Municipal Stadium and Old Three Rivers Stadium where the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers would go at it tooth and nail. And sometimes Cleveland gave as good as it got, but usually, more often than not, the Steelers would come out on top. And this past Sunday was no different, but for the fifth time since they have come back to the NFL in 1999, this is 20 years now, the Pittsburgh Steelers were responsible for getting Cleveland's current head coach fired.
Wow.
Not only was the whooping that we gave them on Sunday so drastic, the head coach got fired, but our old offensive coordinator got fired as well, Todd Haley.
What a shock.
And I just got to mention about the absolute, complete, and utter ineptitude of whomever is running the Cleveland Browns organization. Now, Jimmy Haslam, who's the owner of the Cleveland Browns, was at one time a minority owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you think he would have learned something about stability. But
no, he did not.
But, you know, being that he was trying to keep the coaching staff intact, when a coaching staff produces one win out of 32 games over 2 seasons, it really doesn't make any sense to keep them going into a third season. And you know what the saddest thing about firing Hugh Jackson yesterday was? He was having the best season of his career. He got twice as many wins this year as he has the last 2 seasons. And his reward for his hard work and his dedication, where he was given his pink slip, and then shortly afterwards, everybody thought Todd Haley would be the heir apparent. But apparently, Todd doesn't play well with others. It was that way here in Pittsburgh. It was here in the bars in Pittsburgh. It was here in the quarterback room in Pittsburgh. You know, he wore out his welcome rather quickly in Kansas City.
Yeah.
They couldn't wait to get rid of him when he was the offensive coordinator in Arizona. So you ask me what's on my mind, I just take perverse pleasure in the fact that the train wreck that is and will always be the Cleveland Browns is rolling down the track, waiting for the next bend to derail itself, because you pretty much got a write-off this year, don't you think?
I would think so.
That's what's on my mind.
Wow. Thank you, Chip Hayner. Can't argue with your point. I bleed black and gold, but I actually have empathy for the Cleveland fans. You know?
I can tell you what, you talk about loyalty. They have it.
No, I respect it, but it's gone. What's on my mind is Chip's not the only baseball fan. I do watch baseball and enjoy it. Watched the World Series this year, and who would think a guy named Steve Pearce would be the MVP and was an ex-Pirate, and he was also an ex-teammate on 12 other teams, 13 teams. He's 35 years old. Boy, could he hit the homers. Unbelievable what he did there to help win the series for one of the strongest teams in history, 108 wins, 119 wins totally. I mean, you got to appreciate the Red Sox. I'm not a big fan of the Boston teams. I like our City of Champions over theirs. And I just had to acknowledge that I did watch the World Series and saw what they did. So I'm amazed at that, and just had to put it out there that it was interesting to watch all the maneuvers from both managers and see how the one thing bothered me the one day Cora went out there and Hill gave him the ball and they didn't exchange any words. I'm thinking, how's the guy not want to pitch when he has a one-hitter? Here he did want to pitch, but Cora always come out and took him
Roberts.
out. Or Roberts was
Yes.
always take. Sorry, I misspoke there. Robert, between both of those managers and all their maneuvers with bullpens and everything else, but Roberts always came out to get Hill, and that's what Hill assumed he was going to do, is just take him out, so he just handed him the ball and left. And meanwhile, he wasn't ready to go, and it caused a little bit of controversy, and look what happened. They started scoring runs. So
How about
who knows?
Friday night's game? 7 hours and 20 minutes, 18 innings, the longest game in World Series history.
Unbelievable. I didn't make it. My son Drew did. He saw the whole game.
I'll tell you what, it's probably one of the best games I ever slept through.
I slept like a baby too and heard about it the next day. But it was quite the World Series. Two big market teams like that. Just amazing what they did. And got to give Boston credit for beating 100-win Yankees, 100-win former champs Astros, and then beating LA with one of the biggest payrolls in baseball. So they did it the old-fashioned way, won more games than the other team, and out-hit them, out-homered them, and did that. So that's what's on my mind. I don't know if Zach can switch us to our commercial since he's here now. I don't know if he can do that. We'll come back to Chip Hayner's trivia. This is live TV, and we have a fluid situation here, and I trust Zach on bringing us home here. Can you get it?
Okay. Well,
Wait 1 second. Any chance, Zach? Probably. All right, I'll bet on you.
there you go. Be interesting. I'll mention this in my trivia segment. It'll be interesting to watch what happens in the free agency starts Friday night.
I showed an interest in making home
Bryce.
movies. Me and some buddies would just grab a camera and you just start making these videos, and then you realize at some point that this isn't just a hobby anymore. It's something that you actually want to pursue, and there's this great facility right down the road, BPTV. A lot of people will try to do these productions on their own, and one of the things they don't have is the equipment, you know. But right here is everything she needs in one nice little bundle. There's lights, cameras, reflectors, dollies, all kinds of little knickknacks. Like anything that you'd want to use that you would need for a production, you have it right here. Like it's all right here. You can make your own feature movie just with the stuff from this studio. Come meet Dave Cable, let him show you around, and I think you'll realize that this is something that you could fall into regardless of your level of expertise, whether you're a beginner or even if you're a more advanced learner. There's something here for everyone, and I feel that you just need to come through and just be a part of the experience and just watch and learn, and you know, let Dave be your guide.
One of the things we do at BPTV is encourage our producers to film on location. Not only does shooting on location give our producers the opportunity to take advantage of their subject matter, filming in different locations gives each program its own distinct flavor. This also helps anyone who's flipping through the channels avoid confusion when they turn on BPTV. With around 500 programs produced at BPTV each year, the last thing we want people to think is that we're only broadcasting one program. So, you need to come into BPTV to pitch your TV show. But in terms of where you actually end up taping your show, the sky's the limit.
Segment. Now that already touched on this, we have a new world champion in Major League Baseball. The 2018 Boston Red Sox could probably go down in history as one of the greatest teams of all time because they sealed the deal. They won the title. 119 wins over the course 108 wins over the season, 11 wins in the playoffs. Amazing team from top to bottom. A former Pirate castaway, World Series MVP, David Price, who had not had a single postseason win in his career up to this year, won 2 games in the series. The Red Sox won the series in 5 games. And, they could be considered among the top 5 teams of all time. That's an argument for somebody else to make. But we do want to give them their props, which kind of leads me to some, I don't know, Alan always straightens me out about this, but some useless information
No. I appreciate the
about the
trivia.
World Series itself. And, last week I kind of touched on the history of the World Series, not so much who played whom and who won this year and that year, but how the championship series came to being and how it became the World Championship it is. So I was thinking about the World Series and wrapping up baseball season for this year. Season ended probably 2 games sooner than I would have liked. I would have loved to have seen the series go a couple of more, but Dodgers just, they just can't seem to get over the hump. They've been to the series twice in the last 2 years. Last year they lost in 7 games to the Astros, and this year they really weren't in it. I mean, they won game, 18 innings. They squeaked out a walk-off win in the 18th inning, bottom of the 18th. But other than that, pretty much the Boston Red Sox dominated the Dodgers the way they dominated Major League Baseball this year. So tip of my hat to the Boston Red Sox. But I'm looking at how many years that we've been playing the World Series. And if you remember last week, I talked about the first World Series game was played in 1903 at Exposition Park over in the north side. The Pittsburgh Pirates played the Boston Americans and lost in that series. It was a 9-game series. Pirates lost 5 games to 3. But I was wondering, how many visits to the World Series have various teams made?
Sure.
Okay? And that got me to thinking because, to me, it's a known fact that the Yankees have won 27 World Championships. Okay? A lot of people may not know that, but, that is the gold standard as far as winning championships go.
Yes.
If you want to, the 2 teams that really set the gold standard for the most amount of championships would have to be the New York Yankees and, of course, the Montreal Canadiens in hockey. You think about how many Stanley Cups they won over their storied history.
Sure.
So the New York Yankees have made 40 appearances in the World Series in 115 years. Wow. They have a record of 27-13 in series wins. So they've lost 13 times, they won 27. A distant second is tied by 2 bitter rivals that used to both play in New York City with the Yankees. The San Francisco Giants have been in 20 World Series, and the Los Angeles Dodgers have been in 20 World Series. The Giants have won 8 and lost 12. And the Dodgers have won 6 and lost 14. Next up on the list with 19 appearances is the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals have 11 wins and 8 losses in World Series competition, followed up by the Oakland Athletics / Kansas City Athletics / Philadelphia Athletics.
Wow, that's going back.
14 appearances, 9 World Series championships, 5 losses, followed by the Boston Red Sox with 13 appearances. Their most recent being this year, they have 9 wins and 4 losses. But they went 86 years before they won a World Championship with what was considered the curse of the Bambino. Because after their last World Series win in 1918, the Red Sox traded Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees, and the rest is history. Next up would be the Detroit Tigers, as well as the Chicago Cubs, each tied with 11. The Tigers have won 4 championships, lost 7. Cubs have won 3 and lost 8. Next up, tied at number 9 with 9 appearances each, the Cincinnati Reds and the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves / Milwaukee Braves / Boston Braves. They had 9 appearances, 3 wins, 6 losses. The Reds with 5 wins and 4 losses. Next up, 7 appearances. There's a 3-way tie. Pittsburgh Pirates, the Baltimore Orioles / St. Louis Browns / Milwaukee Brewers, which happened to all fall under the headline of the Baltimore Orioles. Had 7. The Philadelphia Phillies had 7. Pirates had 7. With the Pirates lead the pack with 5 wins and 2 losses. And each of the Pirates' wins in World Series competition, the Pirates have won every series that they won in the World Series by winning the 7th game, winning 4-3. I thought that was kind of an interesting statistic. Baltimore has won 3 World Championships, lost 4, and the Phillies have won 2 and lost 5. Next up, with 6 appearances each, Minnesota Twins / Washington Senators from 1901 to 1960. With 6 appearances, the Minnesota Twins winning 3 World Series and losing 3. The Cleveland Indians with 6 appearances, 2 wins, 4 losses. That last win coming in, I believe, 1948. Yeah, they've got this.
That's 70 years.
Yes, it is. Quite a bit longer than the Pirates, but the Indians have been to the World Series within the last 2 years. They knock it on the door, they can't get in. Chicago White Sox, 5 appearances, as well as the New York Mets. The Mets have only been in existence since 1964. The White Sox with 3 World Series wins, 2 losses. The Mets with 2 wins and 3 losses. Next up, next after that would be the Kansas City Royals of the American League. 2 wins, 2 losses, 4 appearances. Next up, we've got the Miami Marlins, 2 appearances, 2 wins. The Toronto Blue Jays, 2 appearances, 2 wins. The Houston Astros with 2 appearances, 1 as a National League team, 1 as an American League team, with a win in the American League. The Texas Rangers / Washington Senators from 1961 to 1971, 2 appearances, no wins. The Padres, no wins, 2 appearances. Los Angeles Angels, 1 appearance, 1 win. Arizona Diamondbacks, 1 appearance, 1 win. Then you've got the Tampa Rays, the Colorado Rockies, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Washington Nationals / Montreal Expos, and the Seattle Mariners, all with Tampa, Colorado, and Milwaukee Brewers have all made 1 appearance and no wins. So that leaves us with how many teams have never won a World Series? And that number last year changed from 8 to 7 when the Astros won their first. But the 7 teams that have never won a World Series would be the Texas Rangers, the San Diego Padres, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Colorado Rockies, the Milwaukee Brewers, who were the Seattle Pilots before they became the Milwaukee Brewers, the Washington Nationals or Montreal Expos, and the Seattle Mariners all have no wins. And the Nationals and the Mariners have never made an appearance in a World Series. And I think the thing that's most disturbing about that, looking back at the history of the World Series, and the last time that we did not play the World Series was in the fall of 1994. And that year, the players went on strike, and the owners, to be vindictive and hurt the players, canceled the World Series. But that year, the two best teams in baseball that year were the Montreal Expos and the Cleveland Indians. And either one of those teams would have won their championship that year. I do believe that year that the Cleveland Indians did have the best team in baseball, but the Expos were nobody to sneeze at that year, and because the powers to be couldn't sit down and hash out a deal, we were robbed of a chance of watching two teams compete for the world championship, which is the harbinger of what is known as the steroid era, because when the strike ended, people did not flock back to the baseball parks, and the owners were very concerned about this, so they turned a blind eye to certain things that the players were doing, such as performance-enhancing drugs, which led to the steroid era and the inflated home run totals and pitching totals and so forth and so on. So you can blame the players all you want. The owners have as much culpability in that as the players do. So there you go. That's my trivia for this week. Next week, we'll see what I can dig up.
All right, Chip. I enjoyed that useless information as always. Thank you very much, and we're going to move on. Switch to me. You know how my on location? Sorry for the delay, folks. Just a little glitch here. My man is strong in there. Thank you. On location, we're looking at November 12th. Olive Oil's Pizzeria and More, 930 Brookline Boulevard, 7:30 to 8:30. We've got a great show lined up with some guests. One of the guests, I can tell you, reached out to me. He's a doctor, Dr. Bill Wetmore. He does things with athletes and helps them to prevent injuries. He had a son that played hockey and was never injured. He invited me to get some testing done at his house or wherever his place is. They check something with your shoulders and your flexibility and different things, and then they tell you what exercises you should do and what you should do to work out to prevent those injuries for the future. So somehow they can foresee what's going to happen in the future when you play sports. So I thought that's a pretty cool guest, and he'll be on our show as one of our guests. We got about 4 other guests coming, and hope you can make it out there. There's great food, great pizza, great hoagies, you name it. Pasta's good, salads are good, all the food's good. After all, he's right here in Hillcrest and has a couple other shops too in Washington and Canonsburg. So check that out. We'll be there. Smoking Jim and I will be interviewing people, and it starts at 7:30 to 8:30. And come on out, enjoy the show, and interact with us, and we'd love to have you there. That's November 12th. That's a Monday, 7:30 to 8:30. And we're going to come back, and we're going to talk some Steelers.
College football first rankings for the
Yeah, we'll come up.
Hey, before we dive into the Steeler game on Sunday,
Okay, what do you got?
What do we got? I got an update on college football rankings. The first
Late breaking news right now on Pittsburgh
the
Sports
first
Line.
ranking for the college playoff
Give
system.
it to me.
Number 1, of course, is Alabama.
Okay.
Number 2 is Clemson. LSU is number 3, and Notre Dame is number 4. The only reason I bring that up, this Saturday, LSU, Alabama, head-to-head.
Whoa.
So
One of them could be out.
Alabama's just destroying everybody. It's
They're a machine.
Yeah, I know. They're as bad as Gateway.
Smoking Jim's
That's
not
for
here.
you, my friend Jim. But okay, to get back to the Steeler game, how about the Steelers this past weekend? They've 3 in a row we've won,
Yeah.
and it looks like the question everybody's going to be asking over the next few weeks is Le'Veon who?
Well, put it like this: James Conner looks for real. He's hitting the hole hard, breaking tackles, running away from some people. So he's proved to me that he can be the running back.
Yeah, and I think he's proven beyond any reasonable doubt that Le'Veon Bell was asking for more money than he's worth, to be quite honest with you. And I think all that Le'Veon Bell has done to himself is he's damaged his name, he's damaged his reputation. His word means nothing to anybody. And do I expect him in this year? I mean, I don't know what goes through that young man's head, and certainly nobody knows what he's going to do.
He could be in tomorrow.
He could be in tomorrow. He could never come in. And at that point, even though the Steelers would own his rights for next year, do they want to go through this drama again next year? I mean, to be honest with you, they slated $14.5 million on the salary cap to account for him this year, which is money they could have put towards,
Other people.
like maybe another cornerback or.
You mean we need a cornerback?
Well, I think, Joe Hayden's locked down the one side, but I think that this cornerback by committee
It's not
thing,
working out well.
But as long as the Steelers keep winning games, you think about this. In today's NFL, where the normal is scores with teams scoring 35-plus points, and the Browns only scored 18. Now, granted, it's the Cleveland Browns, okay? And they, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing.
Right.
Take that into account, but they are still an NFL football team, okay? They've got a lot of talent on that team,
Yeah.
a lot of first-round draft picks. But the last 2 games that we've played, we've held teams down.
Sure.
We let Cincinnati get back in the game, but the week before that against Atlanta, we kept their high-flying offense
Yeah.
pretty well grounded. So, maybe the defense is not as bad as.
Well, the sacks are there. The defensive line looks pretty good. The linebackers, even though I've been disparaging some of them, they've been playing well since they moved Watt to the left side and have him rushing almost every play. There's been a big difference. He's able to play his natural side and how he does play, and he's in on a lot of plays.
And Bud Dupree, I mean, he was all over the place on, if he could just get to the point where he quits running past the ball carrier or the quarterback, he's so quick.
Yeah.
He's got to figure out a way to draw a straighter
Couple
line.
adjustments he needs. Maybe a step left or right.
And certainly anything would help.
Something to tune him in there a little bit. But he's playing well, and they look pretty good there. The front 7 and the back, it's a little weak.
Well, Joe Hayden has been doing a great job.
Yes, he has.
Limiting the top receivers. I mean, look what he did to Julio Jones.
Yeah.
Look what he did to Jarvis Landry last weekend.
Yeah,
But the key to the game, and they say that if you're going to win in the National Football League, it starts up front, the offensive line, defensive line, and if you noticed, Myles Garrett really was not much of a factor in this game. And, he did make one play, where he just basically threw Villanueva down. But for the most part, Villanueva played a good, solid game.
He played better this game than the last game.
Ben was able to pick apart their defense. And, once the James Conner got on a roll, I mean, he didn't do much in the first half. And that leads me to think, okay, let's say Lev Bell comes back. If you're going to play running back by committee, which a lot of teams do,
Sure.
Connor got stronger as the game went on. And did he have an outstanding? He only had 30 yards rushing in the first half.
Well, look at the first quarter. They did absolutely nothing. You talk about slow starts.
Right. And
I
like,
mean, you're coming off a week where you think the coach would have you fired up to play after a bye week. I was so disappointed that first quarter and first half.
Well, the only thing that we got to take away from that is I don't know if it was because of the strength of our defense or the ineptitude of the Browns' offense. Maybe a little from column A and a little from column B.
Yeah.
But we only gave up 2 field goals. Instead of being down 14-0,
Sure.
we were down 6-0, and then all of a sudden, boom, bend to AB, boom, bend to AB, and when we're going to the half, 14-6.
Yeah,
and,
makes a big difference.
It does. It really does. So
When you're scoring touchdowns, we've learned that, and it just scares you with the defense that you can't trust at the end of a close game. I mean, that's what you got to worry about.
and it bothered me that they gave up a touchdown in garbage time.
Yeah.
With 6 seconds
Yeah.
left, you gave up a touchdown.
I know. There's no point to that. It should be, not there. But that's something you got to worry about. I'm still worried about the defense. The offense has come on. Big Ben broke his middle finger on his left hand. So that being said, it won't affect him, they say. So
Well,
we'll
and
see
then
what happens.
then there is the gaffe by the special teams. Now,
I can't even bring that up.
Yeah, well,
It's
you got to bring
shocking.
it up because unfortunately, it didn't cost us to lose the game.
Oh.
But how do these guys not know the rules? And I blame the special teams coach. I mean, he
Communication.
should have told everybody, okay, now this is a live ball. You must cover the ball. This is not a punt. And how the players didn't know that, and the players
They
have
were
to
backing
accept
away
it.
from it. That was shocking.
Well, Rosie Nix had no business
Fair catch.
calling for a fair catch when he wasn't going to catch the ball.
And Switzer seems like a smart, competent guy.
But once
What
Rosie
happened?
makes the fair catch, he can't catch the ball. See, so he knew
That threw
he
him
knew he
off.
wasn't supposed to do that. The only fortunate thing about that play is that as per the rule, the team that recovers the ball can't advance it. Otherwise,
yeah, that would have
Cleveland
been
would
a
have,
touchdown.
that would have been 7 points right there. And, even though they did ultimately score and missed the extra point,
Yeah.
it took them a while to score. Our defense made them work for it. But
No, that was such a shocking play. I've watched football my whole life, and I think that's just common sense that you know that. So for that to slip through like it did, and I understand the confusion with fair catch and not being able to catch it, but it is a live ball. So, I mean, that makes it so shocking, but we did overcome that among many other things, and Connor did shine in the second half, just looked like a beast. He truly did. Breaking tackles, running, catching the ball, a couple nice catches. So we have that to look forward to. If Bell comes back,
at this point, you know what? I think he'd be doing the Steelers a favor by not coming back. I mean, I honestly don't think that the Steelers need him to win. I
they
think,
just proved it.
yeah. And right now, by the way, the Penguins are down to the Islanders 2-1.
Oh my goodness!
But
I'll have to watch that when I get home.
we'll monitor that as we continue along through the show. But Steelers, it's Ravens week again.
Yeah,
It's Ravens week,
and the Ravens have a decent team.
They have a decent team, but they've lost 3 of their last 4 games. They've lost 2 in a row.
Well, as Bob Prince would bring up, the hidden
They're
vigorous.
hidden vigorous, right?
I hate to see when they lose 3 out of 4.
Speaking of Bob Prince, today, 1975, KDKA terminated Bob
Little
Prince
gunner.
and Nellie King.
Wow. What a sad day.
Yeah, it was a sad day, but the KDKA canned Bob Prince, who was a longtime Pirates announcer, anybody my age or of similar gunnerisms. There was a bug loose on the
Can of
rug
corn.
and a can of corn. There was a Hoover job.
A bloop and a blast.
Mazeroski and Alley the
Yeah.
Hoover job, Chicken on the Hill with Will.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
there was
name it, we could
yeah.
go
then
on
then
and
then,
on.
don't ever forget what took us to the 1960 World Series, the
green-
green weenie, the green weenie. Yeah,
Those were the days, my friend.
who's your friend that loves our baseball trivia? I bet you he remembers the green weenie.
Skip Atkins.
Skip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shout out to Skip.
yeah. There you go, Skip. I remember the green
The
weenie.
green weenie, buddy.
So yeah, it was
Probably have a couple in the house.
1975. KDKA canned Bob
Wow.
Prince and Nellie King.
Yeah, I ended up meeting Nellie King one day, and what a nice, quiet, subdued guy. I shook his hand, said, I enjoyed listening to you with the gunner there. He goes, I didn't always get to talk, but I did get a few points in there.
And he got his nickname for his, the gunner. They called him the gunner because he had like a machine gun staccato to his voice. He was just like bang, 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 bang.
Definitely. What a legend. Always enjoyed listening to baseball. On the radio, he could actually form pictures in your head by his descriptions.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
his
well,
crazy stories, too.
And I do remember, my favorite world championship of the three that have been won by the Pirates in my lifetime. The first one, I was only 5 weeks old, so I have no recollection. But
They had you listening to it.
the world championship in 1971, when Clemente won the MVP and Blas pitched the last Game 7, and we had to sneak a transistor radio into school. And you had an earphone, and you turned the game on, and you had your desk. You had your desk that folded up like this, and you had the earbud in your earphone in, and then you put the teacher would come by, you put the desk down, and the earphone would come out. She'd hear the game, take your radio from you. But that was back in the days when all of the World Series games, with the exception of Game 3 that year, were all played in the daytime.
Yeah, they were daylight games.
The first night game played in World Series, Bruce Keeson pitched,
Yeah.
was at Three River Stadium. The Pirates and the Orioles. But
Little extra trivia for you from Chip Hayner. You can't beat that. Some fond memories of the baseball days there and the winning.
Yeah,
the
I was 12.
70s.
Yeah, I was 11 years old. So I was at the prime of my baseball career playing. We idolized the Pirates.
Same with us. I grew up in Green Tree, definitely.
So getting back to the Baltimore Ravens, the Ravens have been reeling lately, and it really, I tell you this, when the Steelers and the Ravens play, throw the records away. They just they go at each other, and it's not like when the Steelers play the Bengals. When the Steelers play the Bengals, I see some of the dirtiest football I've ever seen, cheap shots and everything. When I watch the Steelers and the Ravens, I watch some of the most physical football games, but it's all done out of mutual respect. They go at each other, and at the end of the game, they shake hands and they walk off the field because there's a mutual respect from the players on both sides.
It sure seems that way.
But I mean, it's as violent a football game as you'll see. When we play the Bungles, it's
It's a little
some of the dirtiest football you've ever seen.
Yeah, and it starts out that way and ends that way. So, yeah, it continues. But I'll tell you, there's a difference with the Ravens. We'll just see if we can get the Flacco here and get him off of his game.
Yeah, because he handed us our lunch last time we played.
Made us look terrible.
Yes, he did.
And
Yes,
we
he
don't
did.
we don't need that. I got a good feeling about this game. Steelers win it. I don't know what the score will be, but I believe the Steelers will win it.
And it's going to be a field goal game. That's usually what happens.
It should be close.
And whoever hits the ball last is usually the team that wins it. And then after the Ravens week, then we got a short week and we play the Carolina Panthers. And the Carolina Panthers put it on the Ravens last week.
Yeah, they did.
They put it on them good. So we've got a couple of stiff competitors coming up in a couple of weeks.
We'll get tested.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, we've been fortunate the last 3 weeks. We've been able to make mistakes and learn from our mistakes while we're winning.
And overcome them. Yes. That's one of the key things.
Well,
It's
here's the
hard
thing.
in
Here's
same
the
game.
thing. The next 2 games we play,
Can't afford it.
if we make the mistakes that we made in the last couple of games, we're not going to win.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
But can we please start playing football early?
Yeah.
I need us to play a
Yeah,
little
well,
bit.
I'm sitting there. Wait a minute. We're playing at 1 o'clock. What do you mean?
No.
How much earlier? But no,
We
no, I
need them
never
to
do.
appear.
Yeah, we need them to
for the-
show up at 1 o'clock
I'd
instead of quarter
like
to
to
2.
see a first series successful touchdown drive.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to see with the talent and skills they have. Somehow the Wi-Fi's working. AB and Ben are on the same Wi-Fi right now,
Yep,
so
they seem to be.
that's clicking. So they're all smiles. Can't beat that.
No, you
that
can't.
helps, and we got other players out there that are catching the ball and doing things. I just wondered what happened to James Washington.
Well, I think Washington's going to eventually work his way into.
He was doing well in the preseason.
Into the lineup, but the person that I've been impressed with, and of course I didn't know what type of a receiver that he was, but he's been healthy this year, and he's a load. Is Vance McDonald?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm going to tell you something. When he gets the ball, he looks to flatten somebody.
Well, he's lost that dropsy issue that he had
Yeah.
from other teams, and he's catching the ball, and he got a great stiff arm.
And I'll tell you what, with the combination of McDonald and Jesse James, they almost take the place of the third wide receiver,
Yeah.
who they're
do.
developing.
It's taking time.
But
And Juju's still a good ball player.
Juju is as good a number 2 as you need in the league.
Yeah.
And AB is AB. But I think you're going to see the emergence of James Washington as we move through the season, because we're going to need him to be that third option. As a wide
Definitely.
receiver.
And Switzer surprises you. He can catch a ball.
He can catch a ball, but
He doesn't have that height, though.
No, he doesn't. But he doesn't seem to be afraid to go over the middle.
No.
Yeah,
he's
'cause
been there a few times.
He doesn't have those short arms.
No, he extends it out there.
He doesn't do the T-Rex.
No, and he had a couple decent returns too, which is why they got him, which helps.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they're showing in all facets of the game some improvements, which I like to see from the beginning of the season to the middle of the season.
Well,
and now we got the last half of the season.
Now
so.
we got the last half of the season, and you'd like to think that your team grows as the season goes on and gets better.
Yeah.
And let's hope that that they peak at the right time.
Well, Tomlin usually gets them to peak near the end, so.
Well, they're going to need it because they got the Patriots coming up, and there's a lot of games that, but there was a number of games that you looked at with the Steelers earlier in the year, and it was like, oh boy, I mean, how the Steelers going to do this, and now some of those teams don't look so good.
No, you got Oakland and.
Oakland stinks.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 1-7. They're 1-7, and they're having a fire sale. They traded off Amari
$100
Cooper.
million coach, and he wants his team.
Now their number 1 receivers, Martavis Bryant. And if that's your number 1, you're in
I didn't
trouble.
even see him in the statistics last week, so I don't know whether he caught anything or not.
Yeah, well,
Who knows?
Who knows? But the trade deadline passed 4 o'clock. Steelers didn't make any moves. No big surprise there. Considering a lot of different factors weigh into whether or not you can make a trade. In the NFL, I think much more so than other leagues. With baseball, with no cap limit on what you can spend,
Sure.
It's not that much of a big deal. But you've got X number of dollars allotted, for
Well, you
various
could-
places, and then if
Yeah.
the guy's signed for a couple of years, how does that fit into your long-term plans?
That's what you got to worry about. If you get just a pure rental player, it's possible because we saved some cap money, believe it or not.
Well, we did by
You know,
not paying
yeah.
Lev Bell,
By
but
not paying him, we have saved millions there.
well,
so.
we had saved millions, but and in the long run, I know we hurt the team, because
Well, both parties are at fault on this.
Oh, there's
they
no
both
question.
drew the line, and
Well, the Steelers were only following the letter of the collective bargaining agreement that 31 of the 32 teams ratified. They couldn't ratify it fast enough, and the only team that did not
Steelers.
ratify it were the Steelers. And I was listening to Ramon Foster, who's the Steelers player rep right now, talking about why the Steelers were against it, and giving Goodell the power that they gave him, and the contract situation with no guaranteed money and the franchise tag. the Steelers foresaw what was going to happen with that.
Well, they're the only
Now
team.
everybody's mad about it, but they can't do anything about it until 2022.
Right.
Okay, so
You do
you
have
know,
a CBA.
if I was a player and a member of the players union, I would seriously consider whether or not DeMaurice Smith is the right man to run the National League Football Players Association, because he didn't do the players any favors.
No.
You know, and the mess that they're in right now, you can blame the owners all you want. The owners were looking out for their interest. They're the ones that have put all the money up on this.
Sure.
Players, you know, they're for lack of a better way of putting it, players are like the equipment. You know, I mean, they're
No, it's true. And a lot of these times, like I say, I've been a strong union person my whole life, but they created this union to help a select few of the players, not the majority of the players. And we see the tails wagging the dog. And that's not a good thing when the tail's wagging the dog. So
No.
I can see the discrepancies there. There should have been a little more flexibility given to the players' union, not just with Goodell. Because look at what he's done. He's screwed up each decision that he's made. So
and there's no consistency in the way he.
no, it's almost a whim.
Yeah,
Whatever the
you know,
latest
like
whim is.
whatever discipline he meets out, you know, it's like, you know, well, let's see, how this is going to play. Let's see how that's going to play. I mean, look, you know, they didn't suspend Vontez Perfect because they didn't want it to get into.
How does it happen? You fine a guy $112,000 and he's not done for the year.
And for doing the same thing that he's already been fined for 13 times.
Right.
This is not his first offense.
Right.
Okay.
Or his last.
You know, so.
How he's still playing, to me, in a league, guess what? He should just be banned for
Well,
at least a year and probably forever.
And if you're looking at the caliber of his play, he's not going to be he's not going to be at the Pro Bowl this year.
No,
you know?
no, it'll be a little short.
But just another update on the Penguins. We're tied at 2-2. I don't know into what period it says live here, and it won't give me any updates.
Oh,
but
my
that's
goodness.
because I'm not
2-2 for the Pens. We got to
the-
get home.
But let's talk about the Pens. You know, the Penguins came back from a 4-game Canadian road trip. They
Unbelievable.
played Toronto, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver.
4 wins.
4-0. Okay, 2 shutouts. One on
Unbelievable.
one in the first game, one in the last game. Matt Murray, 3 wins.
Yeah.
Casey DeSmith,
Smith,
shutout on the last game. Sid Crosby, NHL Player of the Week, 5 goals in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
7 points in total. So any
Where's
question?
all those naysayers that said he was done again?
Well,
It just keeps
you know,
coming up.
And I know at one time I was a
we're not
naysayer,
going
but you know, Sid Crosby
Suffered a bad injury.
worked his way through it, and there was no question he's the best player in
He
the
had to
NHL.
heal up when you suffer.
So you know the Penguins, you know, had festivities scheduled for tonight that were Halloween themed, which they canceled, and they're taking up collections for the families and the victims of the tragedy on Saturday at the Tree of Life. And you know they have special patches on that they're wearing on their uniforms. It's the Penguins logo, and it says "Stronger Than Hate."
Right.
And after the game, they're gonna auction those off. The
That's
proceeds
great.
go in.
What a class organization.
Yesterday they had a blood drive, you know, because of the massive
for
amounts
blood.
of blood
Yeah.
used by, you know, 4 police officers went down on
And
Saturday.
a couple other people
You
were
know,
injured,
I mean,
sure.
those brave officers probably prevented a lot more people from being killed.
Well, they went
And
right in on it.
they ran towards the gunfire, which is what they're supposed to do. But they are the true heroes, and the first responders, everybody involved.
Sure.
You know, we got to tip our hats to them. And
And they were there within minutes, which was great because it could have been even worse.
No, it could have been a whole lot worse. And you know, that just I love the phrase "stronger than hate," and that's what we've got to do. Is, you know, the only way to combat hate is with love.
Yeah.
So you
And
know,
I'm a believer there, and it's just horrific to have it happen in our city. Just the way people get along with different ethnicities, and what a diverse culture we have and a true melting pot
Well, you know,
as a city.
and just in the last place of any of the communities in the Pittsburgh area that you would expect something like that to happen
It's the most
would
diverse,
be there.
yeah.
Would be there.
Right.
You know, it's just it's still shocking. Hard to believe that it happened in our own backyard.
Well, it's a sad state of times when these things happen so much more often than we ever heard. You
Yeah.
know, it's just terrible, and the outpouring of, you know, sympathy and empathy and, you know, support is just great to hear from throughout the country and the world.
Throughout the world.
Yeah.
Throughout the world.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of gives you faith in humanity.
Yeah, I have not lost my faith.
No, I have not. We can overcome anything, and you know, and I believe that we'll come out stronger on the other side of this.
Definitely.
So you know, we've got the Penguins, and Penguins have flipped the switch, so to speak.
They're one of the few teams that I've ever seen in history do it consistently.
Well, you know, I mean, they know what they've got in the tank, you know. And I will be
A
honest
two-headed
with
monster.
you, they played up before this road trip. They played the fewest number of games of any team in the NHL. And then, you know, I think what they really needed to do was they needed to get away the team and with one another and bond or whatever.
Yeah.
They went to that one resort in
Edmonton.
in Edmonton, and
Kind of together.
you know, hung out together, ate together, trained together, and you know, and I mean, what more could you ask for a team when you go on an extended road trip? 12-day road trip. You got 4 games. You come back with 8 points. I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that.
No, that's the best you can do. There's nothing better.
No, there's nothing
No,
better.
it's great to see a team like that. And they did need to heal up and get some time off because they played so many games over the 3 years. You
Well,
know,
they sure did, and you know, the Penguins definitely have some combinations that they're going to work with over the course of the year, and this team's going to evolve as we move through the season.
Sure.
The one question I have is, you know, I was listening to Mike Rutherford talk about Daniel Sprong and how he was going to be a big part of this team this year. He's getting 3 or 4 minutes a game,
Yeah.
you know, and apparently the coach is not enamored with the way he's playing.
in the doghouse.
You know, but the general manager seems to think he's going to be an integral part of the team. So how this story is going to play out, you know, I wouldn't be too surprised at some point moving forward. He ends up getting traded away for a piece that we need because Rutherford will not hesitate to trade somebody.
Yeah, he's already shown it.
Yeah, and you know, and there's only 3 or 4 guys on that team that won't get traded.
Great Penguin talk. We're down to about the last minute here. I think we got a minute to go with the show. We close? All right. Well, I wanted to say Smoking Jim and I did some great boxing at Market Square. It was a rainy, chilly night, but they had a tent. We saw 12 great fights, some knockouts and everything else. It was just a great night of boxing in Market Square. We look forward to doing some more live boxing. Matter of fact, December 1st will be at Elizabeth Court Time. And Elizabeth for Rod Salka is going to have a fight card December 1st. So check us out there.
Is Rod fighting?
I don't know if he is or not.
Yeah,
I
he's
heard
just-
he is. I heard he may be. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to find out more, but we saw him at the fights and work the deal out. We're going to be broadcasting that. So stay tuned with that. And thanks, Zach Taylor, for coming in. Buddy, we appreciate your help on the show. Thanks to Chip Hayner. This is Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Stay Joey strong.